Look, when you want to rescue big things from the bottom of a body of water, you use what are called lift bags, these airtight canvas bags. You fill with air, and the air lifts stuff off the bottom. What we've essentially made here is a captured air bladder. And we're trying to keep it on the bottom, which is proving more of a challenge than we surmised.
That's a workout, huh?
Oh, this is where things get dangerous late in the day. Let's test them out.
Yeah. Right in place?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay far away from this rig while you pressurize it.
Their first unsuccessful test of the rig weighed in at 1,600 pounds. This time they've got 4,200. But will this be enough?
There they come. Yeah, baby. So that may have been about halfway.
That's perfect. Nothing's budging. It looks gorgeous.
Excellent. So we had a few bugs to work out. So sue me. We added more weight. It took care of the buoyancy problem, and we're all tested, good to go. I think we're ready for tomorrow.
Our first test is the control. Without turning the bubbler on, I'm going to swim from here across the pool and back.
And I'll take a reading on the stopwatch.
Once we've got that timing, we're going to turn the bubbler on. I'm going to do the same thing again and see if there's any difference.
And if there's anything to this myth, it should take Adam longer to swim through the bubbles.
Woo! Woo! Have I mentioned this pool is not heated? All right, I'm ready.
Okay, swimming without bubbles. In 3, 2, 1, go.
The neutrally buoyant Frisco torpedo is off to lay down a marker. The theory being that a comparison of lap times in bubbly and non-bubbly water will tell us if there's anything to the myth at all. It may not be impossible, but it could be more difficult.
Stop! Woo!
I got 29.84 seconds. Let's call it an even 30 seconds.
Which means it's time to fire up the generator, blow some bubbles, and see if the torpedo is affected by those millions of tiny pockets of air.
Okay, swimming with bubbles. In 3, 2, 1, go.
On the first lap, displaying all of his exemplary style and technique, Adam powers through the bubbles. But on the way back, it's not so easy. Just like the small-scale tests, the upwelling current pushes him to the side and outweighs any effect the lower density may have.
Okay.
32.5 seconds.
That's a lot. That's like 8%.
So where does that leave us?
At this stage, it seems that the myth that it's impossible to swim in bubbly water is pretty much busted. It does, however, seem to be more difficult to swim in bubbly water, and the timings we've been taking from my testing seem to bear that out. So given that there might be a grain of truth to this story, that it might be more difficult but not impossible to swim in bubbly water, we're going to ramp it up as far as we can go and see if we can't make that artifact more pronounced.
We've done our testing at 1/4 compressor capacity, and the results were interesting, but perhaps not conclusive. So I think now it's time to ramp it up. That's more like it. And that means we're gonna go full power with those compressors. We'll see what happens.
Wow. That's a lot of bubbles.
You ready?
Ready.
All right, full scale bubble test. In 3, 2, 1, go.
With the dial turned to 11, the forces Adam has to deal with are clearly evident. Despite looking quite serene below, it's a broiling, frothing volcano at the surface, and the current is just too strong to swim across.
Ah! Swim harder!
Meaning in this case, it is impossible to swim in.
Like any good myth, this one has a grain of truth at its heart. And that is that when you mix air with water, it is going to make that water less dense. The thing is that by taking it to ridiculous extremes like we have, you're just not trying hard enough. Stop screwing around. That decrease in density relative to its surroundings causes an upwelling and a very vigorous current, in fact. And that current is so vigorous that it makes it virtually impossible to swim through it.
I swallowed some water.
After small scale, medium scale, and full scale, it wasn't until super full scale that they got the result they were looking for. And Adam, for one, is buoyant.
This myth is a letter-perfect case for why I love doing this show. We started out with a myth about it being impossible to swim in bubbly water, the conventional wisdom being that bubbles make the water less dense and thus you would sink, when in fact it turns out that the bubbles create this churning upwelling of current as they rise to the surface, and it is the current and not the bubbles that makes it, in fact, impossible to swim in bubbly water. I love being surprised by results like that. Well, that's pretty neat. We had a build that was more difficult than we thought, a surprise ending, and a myth that is, I gotta say, plausible, but not for the reasons we originally thought.
And bubbly water is kind of festive, isn't it?
Yes, it is.